Friends, welcome back to our next lecture on CA final audit MCQs and case-based scenarios. Here is our next question number 26. Come, let's go through the question. SK Private Limited is a medium-sized company having operations in Jharkhand. The company manufactures some parts and sells that to various dealers on ex-work basis. The financial statements of the company are prepared as per Ind AS, and internal financial controls report is also applicable on the same. During the course of the audit of financial statements for the year ended 31st of March 2020, the management of the company had a detailed discussion with the auditors for audit planning. Further, it was also decided that any observations of the auditors should also be discussed with the management before conclusion by the audit team, which was not done in the past years. Considering this, the auditors started the risk assessment and requested the management to share their documentation for the same, on which the management said that they do not have any risks, and if the auditor come across any such thing, they can discuss with the management. Happened in the past years as well. You are required to provide your inputs to resolve this matter. So here the auditor is correct in asking the management for any report on the risk assessment, but the management is not giving. Let's go through the options and we'll finalize the final answer. Option A, the requirement of the audit team is not correct. Here the requirement of audit team asking for risk assessment controls documentation is valid. Hence option A is incorrect. Option B, the view of management is correct because of the applicability of Ind AS. Because Ind AS is applicable to your company, that doesn't mean that there are no risks involved with the company. Option C, the view of the management is correct because of the applicability of internal financial control reporting. So even this is not correct, because if you are following any internal financial controls, that doesn't mean that you have no risk. So there is a possibility of having any risk of internal controls or even risk of fraud or errors or misstatements in the financial statements. So even option C is not correct. Option D, the view of management is not correct. So option D is the final answer. Hope you are clear with this point. Question number 27. AJ Private Limited is in the business of telecom and have significant operations across India, predominantly in northern India. The statutory auditors of the company have been accounting for the last 3 years and have been issuing a clean report. Okay, we'll continue further. For the financial year ended on 31st of March 2021, the statutory auditors commenced their work in March 2021. As per the discussions with the management and with the plan to complete the audit by the first week of May 2021. The audit team concluded the work as per the agreed timelines, and the financial statements and the audit report were signed on 5th of May 2021 along with the engagement letter for the financial year ended on 31st of March 2021. In the given situation, please advise which of the following would be the correct. See, by looking at the question itself, you might have understood that engagement letter is signed along with the audit report, which is not correct. Practically, or even our principle says that you need to sign audit engagement letter before you start an audit. So this is the point that was wrong with this question. We'll go through the options and we'll finalize the one. Option A, the engagement letter should have been signed before commencement of audit work. Yes, this is the correct option. Even though we'll go through the other options also, the engagement letter should have been signed at least a day before the signing the audit report. Option C, the engagement letter should have been signed at least a day before the signing of financial statements. Option D, the engagement letter is optional in case of a private company and hence can be signed anytime. So option A is the correct answer, because you need to sign the audit engagement letter before you start an audit. You might have observed that this question is repeated. Okay, we'll go through the next question. Question number 28. RIM Private Limited is engaged in the business of manufacturing of water bottles and is experiencing significant increase in turnover year on year. It is a subsidiary of a RIM based out of a Germany company. It is a subsidiary of a holding company which is based in Germany. During the financial year ending on 31st of March 2019, the company carried out a detailed physical verification of its inventory and property, plant and equipment. During the year, various other activities were carried out to increase efficiency in operations and reductions of cost. The statutory auditors of the company started their audit work from April 2019 and requested for a documentation on changes in processes and activities during the year, as well as any resultant impact of the same on the management controls. The management of the company told the auditors that all such documentation is maintained by the parent company, as this is a closely held private company, and even though internal financial control the auditors did not agree with the views of the management. Please advise both the management and the auditors. Here auditor is asking for some documentation on the changes in processes and activities during the year and what was the resultant impact, and the management is saying that everything will be taken care of by the parent company and hence there is no requirement of giving any documentation to the auditor. So we'll advise both the management and the auditor. The auditor should look for documentation as per Sarbanes-Oxley in this case. No, this is not the one. We'll go through the next option. The auditors are correct in this case and the management should provide the required documentation. Yes, the auditor has asked for the correct documentation and the management is not providing, but now the management has to provide because auditor is insisting upon having such documentation. This option is the correct one because merely a parent company is carrying out due care and responsibility relating to its subsidiary company. That doesn't mean the auditor of private limited company, that is which is the subsidiary company, has no right to ask such documentation. So this viewpoint of the management is not correct. Here the correct answer to this question is whatever the auditor is asking is correct and the management has to provide the same. We'll go through the other options also. Option C, the auditors are correct in this case and the management should provide the required documentation. See, till here both option B and option C are similar, but option C is having one more line. However, in case the parent company is covered by Sarbanes-Oxley, then it can be ignored by the auditors. So this viewpoint is not correct. The management is not correct, stating that the private limited the holding company is taking care of all the required documentations and it is not required to provide the same. So this viewpoint of the management is not correct. We'll go through the next question. Question number 29. XYZ Private Limited is engaged in trading of parts of machineries used in boiler plants. Company has seen growth of 60% in the sales and the management expecting similar growth in next 3 financial years and is planning to onboard new dealers in order to achieve management goal. Purchase department also expect to develop new suppliers in order to meet the customer demands. Internal auditor of the company has identified frequent changes in the bank account and other master details of suppliers. At this expansion phase, company has no defined control to provide assurance on the said supplier master changes. The management agreed to develop the process of monthly detailed review of the supplier master changes done in the supplier master by finance assistant in order to ensure authorized changes in the supplier master. So here the question is saying XYZ Private Limited company is going for an expansion and because to meet the demand of its customer, it is onboarding new suppliers to reach out its customers. So here the finance assistants who is making these changes in the supplier master, the management has to have a clean view of the changes in the master and the person who is doing the same. So this kind of verification has to be made, and the management has placed in the system is called what? That is the question which was asked. See, one of the members from the management would like to know that above controls falls under which category. Which category? Detective controls. These are detective controls, because the management wants to know who made the changes in the supplier master and what are the changes, what is the result of that changes. So this is called a detective control. We'll go through the options and we'll finalize the answer. Option A, automated control. Option B, preventive control. Option C, detective control. Option D is compensating control. So the question, while reading the question itself, we understood that it is a detective control. Hope you are clear with this question. We'll go through the next question. The management of Mago Limited has developed a strong internal control in its accounting system in such a way that the work of one person is reviewed by another. Since no individual employee is allowed to handle a task alone from the beginning to the end, the chances of early detection of fraud and errors are high. CA Olive has been appointed as an auditor of the company for the current financial year 2019 and 20. Before starting the audit, she wants to evaluate the internal control system of Mago Limited. To facilitate the accumulation of the information necessary for the proper review and evaluation of internal controls, CA Olive decided to use internal control questionnaire to know and assimilate the system and evaluate the same. Which of the following questions need not be framed under internal control questionnaire relating to purchases? So relating to purchase, which kind of point or this particular questionnaire is not required to be inserted in the internal control questionnaire relating to purchases. We'll go through the options. Option A, are authorized signatories for purchases limited to elected officials? Yes, this has to be there, because whenever you are placing any purchase order, you need to know whether the person placing an order is an authorized person. So this has to be there in the internal control questionnaire relating to purchases. Option B, are payments approved only on original invoices? Option C, does authorized officials thoroughly review the document before signing the checks? So even these 2 points has to be inserted in the internal control questionnaire, because payment has to be made on par with the invoices, and the officials who are the person who are signing the checks for payment of purchases has to be authorized, and the same person has to review all the documentation for making such payments. So option A, B, C ought to be inserted in the internal control questionnaire. We'll go through option D. Or monthly bank reconciliations implemented for each and every bank account of the company. So yes, we agree that payments has to be made for purchases, but in internal control questionnaire relating to purchases, bank reconciliation statements doesn't do anything. It doesn't even matter, because that doesn't fall under purchases. This comes under bank accounts. If you are framing any internal control questionnaire for relating to bank accounts, then this particular point will come there. Here it has no matter. So option A, B, C are to be included. The question is asking which of the following answer. That's all for today. We have completed the next 5 questions. Also, what I have observed is there are 100 MCQ questions in audit and 30 case-based scenarios which were given in our ICI booklet. And I'm planning for 5 MCQ questions and 2 case-based scenarios per day. We'll see to what extent I can complete. And I have also found that similar kind of MCQ and case-based scenarios booklet issued by ICI is also there in paper 4, corporate and allied laws. And if we have completed this audit, and we'll plan for the next one also, provided you people support me. And if you want me to complete the law MCQs and case based scenarios also, please comment below. And if you people really like these videos, and if you people find these videos helpful, please do like, because it will be a boosting for me to continuously upload videos. And that's all for today. We'll meet in the next lecture. Bye bye.